Gonna put the ass in Tallahassee.
It's the first day of the special project. It's like the first day of school. There's energy, there's hope, and there's anticipation. We have the return of Nellie Bertram. We have the return of Todd Packer.
Still queer.
We have Ryan's casual sexism called out.
Extremely misogynistic.
Dwight suffering from appendicitis. And maybe the best cold opening of the entire second half of The Office. All in one episode. So hey everybody, I'm Chris and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever. And today we're looking at Tallahassee. So let's go.
Did I say Messina?
I understand nothing.
This cold opening is fantastic and maybe should serve as a prime example of how openings should be written for sitcoms with an episode outside of a primary setting for a series. Starting off with Dwight's timetable.
Work starts at 9, giving everyone 20 minutes to shower, plus 50 for Jim to style his hair.
Following that is a sequence of wake-up scenes, which gets sequentially better.
Ow! Why are you sleeping that way?
I was reading the mattress tag and I fell asleep.
Come on in, the water's fine.
Oh, not cool.
Wake up!
All leading up to what may be the best prank of the series. Leave your thoughts on that in the comments, but we're going to get more into this cold opening during the ratings. For now, the Tallahassee episode makes effective use of its time in the beginning of this episode to set up the locations, dynamics, and relationships while layering in plenty of bits along the way. Before the special project group have even departed the hotel for the day's work, we have plenty of world building happening.
For your kids?
Yeah, it's weird being away from them. Never done this before.
Plenty of deeper meaning stuff.
You're a nice guy, Jim, but you have no idea how to vacation.
Plenty storytelling.
I am meeting my new boss, Nellie Bertram, head of special projects.
And jokes layered on top of all of that.
Who says none of us are diarrheal?
Now, we were told in the last episode that Dwight was going to be leading this project.
You will be assembling a team to go to Tallahassee for 3 weeks to develop and launch a chain of Sabre stores.
But it seems like that's not the case because, well, we don't know. Maybe it's a writing issue, or maybe it was just a layered joke / commentary on how companies dangle promotions in front of employees in order to get the best out of them, but have no real intention of giving them any real responsibilities. Either way, it seems like Dwight is not on top.
First impressions get locked in forever.
At least not yet. Yeah. That's your one pun for this episode. Back in Scranton, the B-plot is established when Pam, the former receptionist, realizes that Aaron left all inbound calls to the office going straight to voicemail. And after a brief standoff, Andy takes over receptionist responsibilities. And I think this is the second time that Pam stood her ground over this same issue.
I make that one copy, and I become the girl who makes copies. And by the end of the day, I'm receptionist again.
Andy quickly finds out that he's absolutely awesome in this role.
Mail call! His name is Kevin. And no mail for him, but he got a coupon for some frozen yogurt.
Are those the lyrics?
Back down in Tallahassee, we get the backstory on Nellie.
After you decided I wasn't a good fit, I went on a shopping spree. Very destructive. I bought 13 pianos. Then I realized, what if Sabre had a store?
Which, if you're tracking with us, was last seen during the search committee episode with this eclectic interview.
You've got a Thai woman out the back. Soki.
Okay.
Soki.
That's not gonna
Soki is her name. Okay?
We also get the backstory on what Todd Packer's been up to since the Jim Dwight prank led to his downfall.
Dwight and Jim tried to get me fired, but I landed on my feet down here in Florida. You see, this cat's got 9 lives. And a 9-inch.
Now, the special project is in plan and research mode, which, by the way, makes zero sense. There's no way they're going from no ideas to launching a store in 3 weeks. I get, like, some companies want to be aggressive, but I don't think that's feasible. Anyway, the special project is in plan and research mode, and to kick off day 1, the staff break up into teams in order to research a specific assigned topic, and then present that to the group. Dwight, thinking that performing well in this task will be his ticket to VP of Sabre Stores or something like that, has to unfortunately take a knee when his appendix gives out. And I should mention here that there was this fantastic bit played excellently between Krasinski and Wilson throughout this episode.
Are you sure it's stress? Because I did poison you.
You didn't poison me, it's just stress.
Okay.
What is the antidote?
True love's kiss.
What kind of poison did you use? Dwight, I didn't poison you. I was kidding.
We're hoping this will be
Yeah, I'm gonna need an ambulance.
And here's my PSA for this field guide. Powering through appendicitis is a really bad idea. It could probably kill you. Appendectomies are a fairly routine and proven treatment for an infected appendix. But if you let it go, it's just not gonna fix itself. Your appendix is gonna rupture and all of that infected goobly gop plus everything else in your tract is just gonna be entering the rest of your squishy bits. And it's not a good thing. The more you know. Meanwhile, down in Scranton, Andy's pretty well adjusted to his newfound purpose in life, only to have Daryl and Pam awkwardly confront him about his behavior throughout this day, which is something we're going to get into in the deeper meaning. But back up in Tallahassee, Dwight has some post-op clarity, and he decides to charge right back into the office to PowerPoint his way into leadership.
PowerPoint is boring.
For some reason, maybe because she's insane, Nellie seems pretty impressed with his display of commitment.
A few hours ago, your body was open like a cabinet.
That's right.
That is amazing.
And also Packers.
Todd, look at that.
Oh, yikes. Incoming.
Not so fast.
And that's where this episode concludes. It really feels like to be continued should pop up on the screen. But so for now, we're just going to dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Captain.
There's an interesting thing happening that I haven't witnessed much in The Office, but it is happening in this episode. Most episodes of The Office are pretty self-contained iterations, consisting of a single plot that is self-contained, but does follow the traditional 3-act sitcom story arc. But each episode does do a little bit of work to push the overarching themes ever so slightly for the season, but also the series. But within the story of any given episode, there's a lesson learnt by our heroes due to the events of that episode. But in Tallahassee, it works a little differently. A lot of key themes are being set up in this episode, and we're going to see them paid off over the next several steps in this arc. So for me, rather than focusing too much on those full arc-wide deeper meanings, let's just focus on what they're setting up and establishing in this episode with a little bit from the last episode. First, Dwight's tendency to take his career very seriously is taking center stage. His willingness to put his life on the line for the job is simply to demonstrate to this group of people that he's so committed. He's committed enough to warrant a leadership position at Sabre. This is really a Dwight trait.
Maybe I'm just waiting for someone to wow me.
Sir, where should we send the ambulance?
Send it to the frickin' moon, idiot.
This do whatever it takes mentality's followed him all the way through the series. But fighting through appendicitis and then hopping out of the hospital in order to resume work is kind of a new level for the character. It begs a question, how far would a character like Dwight go to get a promotion? And that'll be the thing to watch for the next couple episodes. How far would he go for a promotion? How far would you go for a promotion? Also, how far would you go to get away from someone you love, but you can't have? Which is the crux of the Aaron Andy story. This was laid in the previous episode when Aaron dropped this bomb to the camera.
I'm going to Florida, and I'm not coming back.
And then she didn't have much to do in the Tallahassee episode, but her counterpart did. And what was he doing?
Reception.
That's right, he was awkwardly filling in the gaps that Aaron left in his life? ? Which all seems to be an allegory for his relationship with Jessica. And what was the advice he was given?
I met this girl. I thought she was so perfect. But when the sun came up, I knew it wasn't real because she was ugly and I had grown tired of her.
Right. What Daryl's awkwardly telling Andy is just because something's good on paper now doesn't mean that's what he's going to want tomorrow, which really works on two different levels, right? It juxtaposes how hard Dwight is trying to get a promotion while Andy's actively killing it in a demotion.
I'm going to actually be asking for a pay decrease. That is so stupid. What if he gives it to you? I win. Ugh.
But also, it suggests that trying to fill the gaps of Aaron's absence in his life just isn't going to work. And speaking of absences, Jim's living that bachelor life out there in Tallahassee. Almost every interaction the character has in this episode, except with Dwight, establishes a weird connection that I don't think we've really seen between he and Stanley.
Whoa, Stanley. Did you just come back from burning down a rival nightclub?
Life is short. Drive fast and leave a sexy corpse. That's one of my mottos.
I would love to hear the other mottos.
Now, we know that Kathy has a thing for Jim. We've seen that over the last several episodes.
Yeah, Jim's gonna be there. Definitely we will. It's 3 weeks in Tallahassee. What else is there to do?
We know that she's going to try something during this trip. So coupling Jim with Stanley, whose main character trait is playing Sudoku, and also cheating on his wife, begs the question, how far will Jim go? So how far will a character go is what we're going to be looking out for. There's a lot going on in the subtext of this episode, and that's why I said earlier that the writing in the Tallahassee episode uses its time really efficiently by layering in jokes and storytelling and the deeper meaning stuff all together in a pretty tight 22-minute episode. But is it any good? Let's rate this thing.
This is the worst.
Starting off with a bang, this cold opening is fantastic.
Fantastic.
And like I said earlier, it perfectly sets up the story of the day and the lives of these characters with humor and playing on season and series-wide tropes. And while I think the prank here with Dwight is a bit far-fetched,
Gotta find Luanda at the alcohol club. Do you think that doing alcohol is cool?
that's also kind of why it works so well. While it's bananas, the stakes are so low, and it really is just another opportunity for us to get to experience, like, what will Dwight believe? And also in this case, what will Aaron believe, who looks genuinely terrified, by the way. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5.
Stanley, wake up! It's pretzel day!
I do wish we would have gotten like a 5-second sequence of Jim cleaning up the room.
Blood, urine, or semen?
Oh, God, I hope it's urine.
Now, Tallahassee is an episode. It's doing a lot. The return of Nellie Bertram is weird.
Let me finish my speech first.
Oh, we get the gist. It's just success and effort, isn't it? So just don't be coy. Make with the cookies.
And I think it would have been a better choice to have Todd Packer serve as the villain in charge for Jim and Dwight. But I'm sure they had Tate already contracted for a string of episodes after this, so this is really just her reintroduction to the series. So that is what it is. But I do wonder if, in general, the fan hatred of Nellie is what drags this episode down a bit in the ratings. But in a sense, as soon as she gets on screen, things do start to tank a bit.
So stop looking at my breasts and start looking at my penis.
But watching it critically this go-round, I didn't feel like things started to tank when Nellie was on screen. I was really just trying to focus on what the creators were doing with this episode, and while it's not exactly the story I wanted told, it's not really my story to tell, so I have to work around all of that bias that I already have. So just watching Tate's performance here, I don't really have much context for what she's going for. Like, she's a bit vulgar.
Huge, whopping penis.
But, and maybe this is just me, that's not like a trait seen publicly, at least in women of corporate power. At least not a trope that I'm aware of. Maybe it was a play on like a reverse Michael Scott thing here.
I watch Queer as
That's not what it's called.
But if so, I think it might have been a fail.
What is a fail? That sounds bad.
Now, as we move forward, I'm going to have to do some soul searching because Nellie is one of my least favorite characters of the series. And the truth is, she's not going away anytime soon.
What are you still doing here?
Wonderful, thanks.
But there is a lot that works in this episode. Dwight and the hospital thing is a great bit to me.
Philip, if you're hearing this memo, I'm dead. You must do one thing. Kill Mose before he kills you. Mose. Hey, it's Dwight. Listen, I just want to give you a heads up.
Ryan's awesome in this episode.
Dude, I think you have appendicitis.
Yeah.
Dwight?
You have appendicitis.
Oh, who called it? Nothing but net.
The PowerPoint sequence, it works, albeit does drag down the pacing a bit.
Convenience.
Ingredients.
Service.
Burgers.
Building loyalty.
Killing royalty.
The Famous Amos thing does feel a little shoehorned in. And easily the stuff at the office was nonsensical and only exist, it seems, in order to serve the deeper meaning. Really, overall, the Tallahassee episode is this cyclone of good and bad things. Good writing, bad performances. Some bad writing, some good performances. And some editing that felt really good and flowed well in the first half, but felt really choppy and also somehow bogged down and slow in the second half. And just taking a step back, I went into this Tallahassee arc with some dread in my heart. But I'm going to be honest with you, I've enjoyed this. I feel like it put some breath back into the series. At this point, in The Office, 3 out of 5 is probably something to feel good about.
Oh, yeah.
Up high.
Yes, sir.
But that's just what I thought about the Tallahassee episode. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments, do all the YouTube-y crap, and join me next time when we cover After Hours.
But after it bit you, did it run away fearful, or did it walk away smug, self-assured?
So smug, like this. Like he thought it was funny.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Did you say masturbator?